Blizzard are fixing bugs and there's a creep indicator to look into? Let's find out more. So on the PTR, Blizzard have actually done a bug fix that apparently works, right? Crazy. And it's a good one because apparently it affects Mac users who have been, well, neglected, I would say, probably throughout the course of Reforged. I know there's been many issues of patch notes mentioning, oh, this poor Mac guy, he can't really play anymore and it's just not working properly. Well, maybe it does now. Maybe it does. Let's have a look. Available for testing on the PTR. So they fixed an issue which would cause the minimap to be drawn incorrectly on Mac OS. And they fixed an issue where the game could become stuck upon finding a match. Fixed a crash when exiting the game, and fixed an issue where the game would not properly choose AMD GPUs. Oh yeah, remember AMD GPUs? Yes, we know. I have one. Big problems with that in the past with frame rate issues. Apparently, they might have actually made it so it's better and just more convenient now. You don't get so much trouble when just trying to play the game, which is good, right? Because that's what you want to do. I know. This post here says they're finally doing it. Sharp says new PTR claims to fix the Mac OS map bug and the game start drop bug. Two of the largest bugs fixed. So I'll take his word for it. Of course, you can give me your own, opinion if you play on Mac or whatnot, whether this really does work for you. He says, I can't believe it. The standards are on the floor and Blizzard managed to clear them. Sweep them up under the rug. So happy, excited to play Warcraft 3 and the Go on my MacBook. Can you believe such a thing? Interesting. A bug fix that actually works. Yes. Well, can confirm that AMD GPU fixed this as well. So it sounds like a very small minor thing, but if this actually just makes the game run, then that's actually a pretty big stepping point for people to actually get on and play the game. Funnily enough, because you don't really want hurdles and things in the way. So that's the little bit of news about the patch. It's just an indicator that Blizzard are still sort of keeping on top of things right now with Warcraft 3. I don't have to do big changes, although the last one we got was the strange one with the ghouls losing 1 DPS, which certainly got a lot of you guys intrigued. I appreciate you watching that video and enjoying it. If you do still like watching Warcraft 3 videos, then do like the video if you're watching this one and check out my other custom games that go on the channel on a daily basis. There's a War3 Champions, that's the third-party PvP sort of melee gaming platform for Warcraft 3 that a lot of people use, myself included, if I do play. Which I don't play 1 versus 1 that often these days, but if I did, I would play it on there and not on Battle.net because you got more stable servers to a degree. But better games, generally speaking, more skilled. Experimental feature, loot indicator. Currently only in 2 versus 2, but maybe all game modes soon if there's no issue. So this is clearly shown through the visual representation of a Gnoll having a little symbol above his head. You see that little symbol above his head? The little treasure chest with the yellow background? It's not a treasure chest, it's like a sack. But yes, very minor. And I think I can see a little symbol above this guy's head. It's very small though. So this is kind of where I want you guys to come in on the YouTube comments if you're watching this. What your thoughts are, because this looks like it's going to probably get put in. And Blizzard do tend to put in what War3 Champions and other platforms for Warcraft 3 that support it. Basically, the people, the community, what they create for Warcraft 3 tends to get implemented by Blizzard one way or another. And this could likely be implemented into the game. So if you guys have good thoughts on how to do this well, then feel free to drop them down in the YouTube comments because it really will actually help to get some sort of feedback, and then maybe someone will come up with a really good idea that I didn't think of off the top of my head when making this video. So you can see the items that can potentially drop. So for example, he drops a charged item. In this case, it looks like it's a level 3 charged item or level 4. So you have a tab, a table. So if we went here actually quickly, and I just show you, for example, I don't know, this creature. If you look at him, he's a brigand. Let's have a little look at this brigand, and you see the items dropped. You go to custom item from the table, new set, new item. So you can see the table here, pull it over. You choose level 3 charged. Specific, actually level 3 charged. So we can see it better. There you go. So it was level 3. There's different levels. There's different types. Permanent being claws of attack. Mantle of Intelligence. Charge being something that you activate. Power Up is like a tome. Artifact is basically like Mask of Death. It's like a special kind of item. Very rarely ever used in melee games. Purchasable, yeah, you don't have to worry about the other ones. It's really those three. So you got Healing Potion, Mana Potion, Invol, Scroll of the Beast, and Mana Stealing. But how would you know he drops those? Well, now, with this indicator, you might actually be able to see when you click, as you can see, there's a red circle around it. So he's clicked on the unit, the Null Overseer, and he sees, he's going to drop one of these potential items. Well, I wouldn't mind one of those. Or perhaps I don't want a charged item. I want a permanent item, so I'm going to go do another Creep Camp instead. Now, there is the pros and cons of such a thing, and I'm going to go over a few of those right now. The pros being improved clarity and foresight for choosing items based on the heroes you want to play. For example, if you play a Blade Master and you go around and you look for all the creeps that drop a Claws of Attack or Slippers of Agility, and you see a creep that doesn't drop it, you skip past that and you look for the next creep that can. Now, that's another point, is spectator and replay value. So I'm hoping that this works for viewers watching in replays. So for Back to Warcraft, when they're checking out, they can show it off to their audience as well. It makes it much easier for them to keep track of all the mobs that drop what they drop. So if they click on it, then it should show up on their screen, and therefore the viewer, either watching the replay themselves or through a stream from Back to Warcraft, for example, will be able to see, hey, this creep's going to drop this really cool item. A Claws of Attack +9. That'll be really big on the Blade Master that's getting close to that creep camp. That's pretty exciting. I wonder if he gets the Claws of Attack +9. I think it's +8 now. They do change the numbers down a little bit. Another point is, if you know an enemy crept the Null Overseer camp, but you don't know what items drop from it, you can check the symmetrical version of it, because typically creep camps, there's one of each on either side. Not always the case, depending on the map. But generally speaking, if there's a Null Overseer camp here, there's a Null Overseer camp over here. So you go check the other one if you're a newer player, and you see, okay, so he's crept that camp. I know that because it shows on the minimap that there's nothing there. He could have had this. He might have a Scroll of the Beast. That could be pretty bad if he's got a lot of footmen and he's coming to my base or something. So I might want to be more on the defensive or build an extra tower. Just thoughts, really. Potential for broader adaptation. If well received, it could extend to all game modes. And now this is the question. Would it affect custom games? Would it break custom games? That's one of the cons that we're moving on to potentially, is this is an implementation and an experimental feature. I'm sure it probably wouldn't be problematic, but perhaps it could introduce glitches or performance issues if not properly or optimized. Another issue would be the one that we were probably all thinking, which is reduced skill expression. Part of the game's nuance is tracking items, picking items up manually, that sort of thing. Not that part, but tracking them. It's a skill thing to sort of... I think it's like a memory skill. So is it really a skill thing? It is technically, but it's like, who wants to memorize every potential item that can drop on the map? That's a bit of a hassle, isn't it? And it's not very engaging for the vast majority of players who aren't 1 versus 1 pros who play the maps over and over and over and over again. So you can look at it from both angles, really. But one point I would probably make is you wouldn't really know what the creeps are going to drop a lot of the time until you get close enough to actually click on them. Because unless you've got map hack, you won't be able to click on the creeps. So you won't be able to foreplan ahead without using third-party tools. I think there's some on Liquipedia where you can see the map, so you can see the creeps that can drop, etc. that I've gone over before in the past. So you'd still have to do your own sort of research to really know what these stuff are going to drop. But it's just a convenience for when you're close by. You can see the creep and what he's going to drop. And then, of course, there's the purists. The players that only want the pure classic experience and don't want any changes in regards to anything. And I don't think this would impact the game. My biggest issue would be any optimization issues, any bugs. But generally speaking, the bottom right wouldn't show anything for the creeps normally. Now it shows items, right? So that's more information than you had before. Information is good in a video game. And you got a little symbol above the head. Pretty, is not obnoxious whatsoever. There were alternative ways to do it, such as create an aura around the creature to indicate the item, which is what I came up with in the past Now, it was really a rough draft, if anything. It certainly wouldn't look like a big red circle or a big green circle. It would be more subtle, like the auras that are currently in Warcraft 3. You can see you've got Devotion Aura, Endurance Aura, Unholy Aura, Vampiric Aura, Fawn's Aura, and Trucial Aura. Some are more obvious than others. Some are more consistent than others. So, would it be an aura that looked like these? If it was, that might impact on the confusion. So the players will be like, oh, is this an aura where the creep actually has a buff? Or is it because he's going to drop a creep? So perhaps the aura would need to be more distinct. But then there is the problem, which we'll go into during my video. Because whilst it's an idea, I don't think it's the fundamental final piece of the puzzle. It's just merely a suggestion. 17. Item bearing creeps rehaul. That's a mouthful. Inspired by Grubby's idea for an item indicator on creeps. So there's the item indicator. That looks better than the version that we currently see on the indicator. So pull back, go here. That, I think, is a bit clearer, a bit cleaner. And it also indicates the tome. So you could be a symbol essentially for, is it a charged item? Is it in this case, it's a power-up item. To show what items they drop. I thought giving the creeps a coloured aura would be the least obnoxious way to indicate that the creep will drop a specific item. For example, the aura could be coloured red for permanent items, blue for charged items, and green for tomes. So that was an idea. I think the big issue with that aura is how it would look. It would have to be separated from the original aura, so you could tell if something had vampiric aura, and it would obviously not be this giant green filled in circle. It would have to be sort of much more nuanced, much more subtle. So you either have an aura which I think stands out a little bit more than a symbol above the head, but to be honest, if the symbol above the head looks more like this, that's a little more obvious than the symbol above the head that looks like this. That's very tiny, very strange looking, but it's an idea. That's the whole point, right? What what are we trying to do here? What do you guys think is the best way to approach this? I thought I'd bring it to your attention because it's something I'm definitely curious about. I'll read what some of the thoughts are in this thread. Good. I don't think you should learn which creep drops what on each map. So basically he wants you to be able to just see what you want to see without having to do the hassle of research. It'll be easier to learn. There are 0 downsides to having this. Only the visual annoyance, I suppose, if you was a purist. But generally speaking, I think that's not too problematic. Good idea. I don't think it takes away from anything except newcomers. Actually, thinking about it now, for custom games, perhaps the map maker doesn't want you to know what the creep is going to drop. So is there a way for custom game creators to turn this feature off so it doesn't interfere with their RPG elements? Zerotoxin, thank you very much there for the sub. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. Come over to twitch.tv/WTi and subscribe there. Just type !Prime in the chat and that'll tell you how to do it. Wow, just wow. Now waits for Warcraft 3 to port game to UE5. Yes, well, someone's probably working on that, let's face it. It gives newcomers a bit more of a chance. Huge win. Doesn't make any difference to a pro, but makes it easier to learn the ladder. Love this idea. So this is something, you know, like I mentioned, Grubby sort of brought it up. I thought about it. Back to Warcraft's obviously thought about it. It's something that I think we want to happen, and Blizzard is quite likely to make happen. So let's try to help Blizzard make the best version of it. If you like this video, thank you for watching. If you got this far, have a good day, and I will see you in the next one.